Okay. The Pharisees then believed in getting along with secular power. Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai got the academy. The academy and the discussions in the academy of the next 200 years and the tax collecting done by the patriarchs in Palestine for the benefit of the Roman overlords produced the situation that we call Judaism. Judaism is found in the discussions of the academies in Yavne and Babylon that occurred up to the 200s and then up to the 600s. Judaism, as we know, was forming just as Christianity was alongside it. The equivalent of the church fathers in Judaism are the academies of Yavne in Palestine and in several academies in Babylon where a lot of people went for refuge. And this wasn't finalized and put in any final structure until around the 600s. Now that is rabbinic Judaism. And it grew out of Phariseeism because all the other forms of Judaism had been banned by the Pharisees. The Pharisees call them minim, sectarians. And they don't describe exactly what they mean. But clearly they mean apocalyptic, revolutionary, different groups like that. Obstreperous groups that aren't willing to play ball. This is why the Holocaust occurred to some extent. Because I have to say, the groups that survived were willing to play ball. Play ball over, I'm putting it very quickly here, play ball over 1,800 years. You see, when you got a Warsaw Uprising, which groups led the Warsaw Uprising in Poland when they didn't want to go into the camps, when they refused to go to the camps, when they knew they were going to the death camp? Was it the rabbinical groups? Of course not. Who fought in the sewers in Warsaw? The Zionist groups. Zionist groups. That's who fought in the sewers in these places. All the others went peaceably, more or less, against overwhelming force. Why? Pharisaic Judaism. They're the perfect Christians, actually. Render unto Caesar what is Caesar's, and unto God what is God's. If this is what Caesar demands, what can we do? We just go. And you say, I don't want to overdo it here, but this is, you couldn't go to Scotland and do that. If you try to take people on trains away from Scotland and so on and throw babies into gas chambers, those people would go berserk. They would fight you to tooth and nail to the last man. They would not accept treatment like that. They would not accept it. That's why I don't understand why the Christians don't honor Jews. This is totally Christian behavior. This is turning the other cheek to the nth degree. No one gives them any credit because no one wants to even look at it. It's so horrible what happened. It's so horrendous what occurred. And they are so Christian in the terms of rendering under Caesar, turning the other cheek, and so on. Maybe they didn't love their enemies. That I don't think most Christian groups would behave like that. So, in any event, this is basically what happened when the Academy at Yavne produced the Judaism that we know. And this is why I feel the scrolls are so incendiary, because they show us another form of Judaism that didn't agree with Pharisee Judaism at all, but wasn't Christian as we know it. It's not Pauline. In fact, I think Paul is in the scrolls, and he's called a liar. I think they hate him. I think it's a form of anti-Pauline messianism that you have in the Dead Sea. That's my own personal view. It's very complicated stuff. However, and I think, by the way, the scroll people didn't come back to get the scrolls in the caves. Why? Because they all committed suicide on Masada. Those were the people that went to Masada and committed suicide. That's who they all were up there. And we found scroll documents up there, so that's pretty clear that that's where a lot of them went. Why didn't people come back after the war was over and get the documents in the caves? You know why no one came back to get the documents in the caves? Those are on parchment. Do you know what parchment is? Terribly valuable sheepskin. You could take it and write on the other side. Why didn't they come and get it? They couldn't. They were all dead or sold into slavery. No one came back. Not a single person came back. Why didn't they come back with a wheelbarrow? You mean your dad wouldn't go back with a wheelbarrow 20 years later and get some of those things and take them on home? If he could have? Sure you would have. So would I. I'd have gone there. I'm not being lighthearted, but you know, nobody survived. Everybody who knew about those documents either was taken away or killed. Everybody was killed. Period. And, you know, so it's really a miracle for us to have. That's why I tried to do the struggle I involved. Okay, so that set the stage for medieval Europe. As the medieval kings descended from the Roman Empire, and I'll take that after the break, as the medieval kings descended from the Roman Empire, I think I've made it vivid enough now for you, they felt that the surrender to Rome of the Jewish people was a surrender to them. They saw themselves as heirs to the surrender of the Jews to the Roman Empire or the Roman emperors. And therefore, ultimately, the Jews were seen as the property of the crown. That's how the Jews were treated in the Middle Ages. That's what Rudetsky covers, and I'll pick up there next time. That's what we're going to get to the emancipation. But the Jews were considered the property of the crown. That is the property of the Romans, and later on the Spanish kings, and later on Charlemagne, and later on the English kings, and so on and so forth, and so on and so forth. That set the pattern for the way they were treated for the next 2,000 years. It's quite incredible to even consider that this could happen. But this is what happened, and that's why I wasted this time of yours. I apologize. Okay, I know I repeated myself. I won't go back on this unless you have a question. I think it's clear enough from my perspective what happened here, and then we'll go on to the next level. What?
I'm sorry, I know we want to go to break.
No, that's right.
Could you be a little bit more clear about the connection between the academic Pharisaic Judaism of...
How about after the break? How about after the break?
Great.
Give me that question after the break. Thanks for bearing with me, you guys. I apologize if I hurt